All right, Dr. Greg Wells, welcome to the show.
It's so good to be here. Thanks so much for giving me a chance to chat with you and your audience. It's going to be great.
Absolutely, man. And I'm a big fan of your content and just like some of the topics you speak on, I think are just really important in today's day and age. And, I think I would just love for myself and the audience today to maybe walk away with some ways to optimize their focus and energy so that they can have a most effective workday at the end of this episode. And I think I'd like to start with your journey, right? Like what first sparked your passion for human performance? And how did you go from studying elite athletes to helping everyday people?
So when I was 15 years old, I was a competitive swimmer. We were on training camp down in Florida, getting ready for Olympic trials, and being a typical 15-year-old, not being responsible. Right before our swim meet that day, I went to the ocean with my friends, went body surfing, and ended up breaking my neck. It was a hospital. Yeah, not the best thing, but I'm okay. I can move my hands and fingers and
Good,
stuff like that. So
good.
but we went and then did 3 months in traction, followed by neurosurgery and rehab and all those other things to eventually get back. I swam at Olympic trials the following year. I didn't make it, but whatever. It was good enough to be back at that, and then swam all the way through college. But the key thing there is that that's what sparked my interest in human physiology. I was fascinated by the body. I'm fascinated by healing, and that I was on a very different path up until then. I did kinesiology for my undergrad, and then right after my undergrad, jumped right into human performance consulting. So literally my first job ever was at a large bank consulting with their executives because I met someone at a Christmas party that was interested in high performance. And I was like, well, I just finished swimming and I need a job and I got a kinesiology degree. So let me work
Let's
with your
do
people. And she did. To her credit, she's like, all right, there's your desk. Good luck. And that was the start. And I've been more or less doing the same thing ever since.
Love it. I love it. And one of the things that you talk about is or have talked about is sleep as a superpower, right? And I think you've even called it the ultimate performance enhancer. What are some of the most underrated sleep habits that you think people can start today to optimize that?
It is, even though we're talking about like high performance and performance in
Yeah.
the moment and crushing it at work, the reality is your ability to perform at work depends upon how well you slept the night before. So that is the foundation. If you sleep well, everything else gets easy. So a few of the really powerful tools that people find helpful for falling asleep and staying asleep. The number one is probably defend your last hour. Make sure that in the last hour before you're trying to fall asleep, that you're not on your screens, you're away from activating things, you're calming yourself down. There's really cool research that shows that sauna or heat exposure, like a hot bath, helps us to fall asleep faster. Possibly, maybe for some people, some magnesium supplementation might work, but really just about decompressing and calming down. Another thing that really helps is getting your bedroom at the right temperature, sort of 18 to 20 degrees Celsius or 67 to 69 Fahrenheit is a really good zone to be in. And then get the blackout blinds going, like get your room pitch black. So those little that pre-sleep habit and those two environmental factors can really make a huge difference for people to fall asleep and to stay asleep.
I think the one that people might struggle with the most is probably that last hour before sleep, right? Because people love scrolling some TikTok. They've been working all day. They just got the kids to bed and they've got like 45 minutes to themselves. It's the only 45 minutes they have the entire day. And they're like, I just want to do some scrolling or I want to watch some Netflix. And for those people, like what is the answer? Is it just don't do it, or is it buy some expensive red light glasses? Like is there do those things actually work? Like what do you say to those people?
I have some of those glasses. My daughter stole them actually. She's using them to do her homework.
Okay, nice.
She wears them to do her homework. They're from True Dark. If anyone cares to check it out. Not hashtag not sponsored, but anyway. So those are sort of like low tar cigarettes, right? It's better than full tar cigarettes, but not
Yeah.
as good enough as the real thing. And if you do like lie down in bed and you're like, oh my gosh, this is my moment. I've been going all day long. I just want to binge watch some YouTube. You know what? That's it is what it is.
Yeah.
I would challenge you though that maybe if you're really interested in optimizing yourself during the day, you've got big goals at work, you want to try to really achieve something, you're interested in elevating your career, you want to have a positive impact in the world, that is an opportunity to do things differently that might feel even better than the Netflix binge. And I've done it. Stranger Things was an amazing weekend, like the whole weekend. But right. But could it be that maybe taking a really hot bath and sitting by yourself for 15 minutes and just calming down might feel really good? Perhaps there's an amazing fiction book that puts stories into your brain that and makes it so easy for you to gently fall asleep. Or perhaps there's some journaling that you can do to get some things out of your head that are bothering you such that you can fall asleep and you can stay asleep. Imagine reading the biographies of some of the greatest humans in history every single night for a year and where you would be versus if you binge watch Netflix every single night for a year, right? Like this is not easy. This is not what no, this is what world-class performers do. This isn't what if you want to, the cult of mediocrity will drag you back
For
to
sure.
binge watching. I think there's a different path, and I will every once in a while watch some new YouTube. I'm not saying that I'm perfect in any, but like try for 80% of the time to be really, really good, and to do the things that are going to elevate me. And a couple nights a week, whatever, watch a movie, no big deal. But most of the time, I try to be doing something that helps me to calm down and just put some good stuff into my brain because it's so hard right now. There's so much going on, and I just need some decompression time.
Now, what is the science there though? Like, why are we avoiding screens? Is it because the light makes our brain think it's daytime? Is that kind of what's going on there?
Yeah, so the theory is that light goes through your eyeballs, hits the back of your eyeball and structures that convert light into electricity. That electricity shoots back through your optic nerve into a structure in your brain called the pineal gland. The pineal gland controls the release of melatonin. So if you are shining light into your eyes, that makes it difficult for the pineal gland to release melatonin, making it really hard for you to fall asleep and to stay asleep. We as mammals also have a structure in the brain called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, which is sensitive to the light dark cycles of the sun. So when the sun goes down, I would love for you to replicate a digital sunset in your home to send signals to the suprachiasmatic nucleus that it's nighttime, it's time to go to sleep. And that makes it really easy for you to fall asleep and to stay asleep. So really it's just about getting aligned with the light dark cycles of the sun, getting your circadian rhythms aligned with that, your ultradian rhythms aligned with that, so that your pineal gland and your suprachiasmatic nucleus can do what they are supposed to do, and I'll get you to sleep and keep you there so that you can actually recover and you can actually regenerate. So there's loads of science around why that works. There's some confusion in the research right now, especially because there was a literature review that just came out that questioned that. But what I think that all of the research shows is that when we get away from our screens, you fall asleep faster and you get more deep sleep. And that's the restorative sleep. That's where your brain is washing itself out. That's where the glymphatic system becomes active to clear out all of the waste products from the metabolism that happen during the course of the day. So I think the research backs this up. I think the science backs this up, and I know it's going to make a big difference for anyone who tries it. It might be really hard because you're breaking some habits, and there's that addictive aspect of looking at our tech that is hard to overcome. But I know it's going to make a difference for you.
Super chiasmatic nucleus. I think if I ever start a band, that's what I'm going to call
Right? That's definitely a punk band for
it.
sure.
That's going to sell some tickets.
Yeah.
Pineal glands. I don't know if that's going to sell too many
Yeah.
T-shirts, but super chiasmatic nucleus. That's going to put
Yeah.
butts in the seats.
That's a song title, maybe. I don't know. I think that's a cool song title. Like
Yeah.
extracalifragilisticexpialidocious from Mary Poppins. It's kind of like that,
Definitely
right?
within that family. So, I mean, that is helpful, and I agree. A lot of times, like the things that you really don't want to do are probably the things that are going to help you the most in the long run. If you are able to just put your phone down, turn the TV off for 45 minutes to an hour, and it allows you to get like 10 times the restorative sleep that you would have otherwise. And then you're able to attack the next day in a way you just wouldn't have been able to if you didn't do this. Then of course it's worth it. I think it'd be a tough habit for a lot of people to get going. But if you see the results, I think that would be the motivation to kind of keep going with something like this.
Yeah, for sure. And you mentioned like it's 10x better, right? It's actually probably about 10 to 20% better.
Okay,
Like
cool.
this isn't like a 10x factor, but it
Hmm.
is definitely like a 10 to 20% factor. Like when I track my sleep using my wearable
Yeah.
on nights when I don't use technology, I definitely get 10 to 20% more deep sleep. I fall asleep faster. I might get an extra half hour total sleep. Like it's not massive. And I don't notice it specifically the first day, but the second, third, fourth day, it starts to accumulate. And then by the end of the week, you're shattered. And so what this does is it just gives you that 10 to 20% edge every single day, where every single day you're getting 20% more deep sleep, and that makes you feel 20% better during the day. And that's the significant shift. We're not talking about, massive change. In fact, I read an interview with Roger Federer, the incredible tennis player, one of the greatest tennis players in history. And what he said was fascinating, in that he only won 54% of the points that he ever played. Like, the greatest player in history only won 50, slightly more than half of the points that he ever. Now, some of those were really critical and at the end of the
Sure.
game, and then like all the really important ones, but we're not he didn't win 80% of the points. He won 54%. And that's what we're talking about here. We're just talking about nudging our way 1% at a time to winning, because we're going to do so many of those little things that collectively, that's what puts us on the path to sustainable high performance. And that's the mindset shift. I don't want people to think like this, I gotta 10x my life, or I've got to do everything, a million times better. It's not. You just need to do little things consistently over a long period of time. And that totally changes the game for you from a health perspective and also from a performance perspective.
I appreciate you calling me out on the 10x thing, because it's not all about 10x. It's
I do the
usually
10x exercise, right? Like, there's definitely a benefit to doing that because it makes you think different. But I just wanted to make sure that I want to make this accessible to people. So anyway,
for sure. No, for sure. That's really, really helpful. And I'd imagine, I bet a lot of the people, self included, that, feel tired as early as like noon, 12 p.m. you sit at your desk and you're like, God, my eyes feel heavy. I bet a lot of that is just due to not having great sleep the night before.
Yeah, well, there's no question that how you feel in the afternoon, it depends a great deal on how you felt the night before. And if you have that afternoon crash, there's a few things that you can do. Of course, think about your sleep. The second thing is that there is a melatonin pulse that happens in the afternoon that makes you feel like you want to take a nap. It usually happens because your core body temperature drops a little bit in and around noon. So if you struggle in the afternoon, one of the other interesting things that you can do is to go for a little bit of exercise in and around 12 to 1 p.m. Now, it doesn't need to be a lot. It can be a quick walk outside, 15 minutes. All you want to do is to increase your body temperature so that you don't get that melatonin pulse. That really helps you not to feel that afternoon drowsiness. Robin Sharma, who wrote The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari, calls that the second wind workout. And I love that mindset. And another thing that helps you to avoid the afternoon crash is to increase the amount of protein that you're having at lunch and to slightly decrease the amount of carbohydrate that you're having at lunch. And if you're out at work, quite often you're grabbing lunch at work, wherever, you'll notice that if you order anything from anywhere, it will be some form of rice, pasta, or bread with a little bit of veggies and some type of protein. Like, get rid of almost all of that carb. I'm not anti-carb by any stretch of the imagination. You need it for energy to work out and all those sorts of things and for your brain. But in terms of focus and concentration, more protein, more veggies at lunch will really help you to avoid that afternoon crash.
That's pretty interesting. I really like that idea of the second winds workout. Like, maybe you get your hardcore workout in first thing in the morning, but then if you're feeling a little bit of a dip in energy around 12 or 1 p.m., just get out there and go for like a brisk walk around the block. And that'll kind of regulate your body temperature and help you feel a little bit more ready to attack the day.
Yeah. And honestly, you won't want to go. You're going to be tired. You're going to want to sit there. You're going to want to go get some food. Is the last thing that you're going to want to do. But if you get into a rhythm of doing that, maybe you and a coworker say, you know what, every day at 12:30, we're meeting, we're going for a 15-minute walk. And you just have to ask me twice, because the first time I might say no, that'll get you out the door. And that little co-group, that environment where other people are asking you to go do the thing can really help, because it's hard to do these things when you're tired. And sometimes right around noon, you do feel that way. But when you do these energy building practices like getting outdoors, drinking some water, getting some sunlight into your eyes, getting a little bit of movement going, that buys you your entire afternoon back, which can really make a difference over time.
Yeah, I like that a lot. I've been feeling a little tired myself around noon these days. And today I took what was supposed to be a 20-minute nap, and the alarm went off, and I clicked the alarm, and I wound up sleeping for like 45 minutes in the middle of the day, which is not ideal. That's not really the most productive thing you could do. It doesn't make for like an A+ day when you're taking a 45-minute nap right after lunch. So I'm going to try the walk tomorrow, Doc. And I'm going to let you know how it goes. Okay, so we talked a little about sleep. and of course how important it is. I'm happy we started there because I really just think it is probably the most important pillar, at least one of the most important pillars of optimizing your focus and energy for the perfect work day. And now it's morning time. Do you advise people to try and wake up earlier, try and get 7 hours of sleep, 8 hours of sleep, 9 hours of sleep? Is there any science there that we can kind of lean on?
Yeah, so there's two things related to what you just asked that are really important because they both relate to longevity, how long you live. And when it comes to sleep, there's some pretty good evidence that seems to suggest that somewhere in and around 7 to 8 hours is the optimal amount of sleep if you want to have the longest possible lifespan. You want the greatest longevity possible. So the lowest risk of all cause mortality, that's dying of cancer, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, metabolic syndrome, neurodegenerative diseases. The lowest risk for all of that is in that 7 to 8 hours. When we break that down, we see that our sleep cycles are where you cycle through all the different stages of sleep, stage, REM and stage 1, 2, and 3, REM and light sleep, and then deep sleep. We cycle through those stages in roughly 90-minute increments. We need about 5 of them as adults. They're 90 minutes each. That's 7.5 hours. So somewhere in that 7 to 8 hours is what we want to be getting in order for us to have that longest possible lifespan, best possible health outcomes. And sleep is also related to our mental health, which is our risk of depression and anxiety. So it's really important for our mental health too. The other aspect of sleep timing, which is critical to lifespan, seems to be the consistency of when you fall asleep. So everyone worries about the morning alarm. I would love for you to set the evening alarm and to work backwards. So set your morning alarm for the last possible second when your alarm can go off and you will not get fired, right? So you don't want to give yourself a window where you can click snooze. It can't
Right.
be there because you will do that. So last possible second. And the goal is then to wake up before your alarm goes off naturally, because then that means you've gotten all of the sleep. You're waking up right out of the end of a sleep cycle, and that's going to give you the best chance of not having that sleep inertia where you feel awful for hours afterwards. So let's say you want to wake up at 6, go back 8 hours, that's 10 p.m. You want to give yourself about a half hour to an hour of wind down time. That means by 9 o'clock, you're shutting it down. You're taking your hot bath, you're doing your journaling, you're reading fiction such that you can fall asleep at around 10 o'clock, maybe, like worst case scenario, 10:30, and you're getting that 7.5 hours, get up at 6 so you can get out there and crush your day. So yeah, the two things, 7 to 8 hours total sleep and being consistent with your bedtime. And the reason why that's so important is because then your pineal gland and your suprachiasmatic nucleus, but specifically your pineal gland, knows when to release melatonin. Your body loves consistency. If you think about it, you get hungry at a certain time most days. So there's a rhythm to your hunger. You go to the washroom at roughly the same time every single day. There's a rhythm to the movement of foods and substances through your digestive tract. Like the body loves rhythm. And so when you fall asleep at roughly the same time most nights, that will help you to fall asleep really, really quickly. And most importantly, to stay asleep as well.
Love that. Love that. And curious, what about the people that want to sleep like 9 hours? Is that too much sleep? Are they actually really, defeating the purpose and hurting themselves a little bit by allowing that much sleep?
Yeah, isn't it interesting there that actually less than 6 hours and more than 9 hours are both associated with an increased risk of all cause mortality. Now, I think that,
That's wild to me. Like you
isn't it
wouldn't think,
crazy?
like, why would more be bad? I'm curious.
Yeah, I think that like less sleep probably causes problems, like your brain isn't washing itself out and you're
Right.
not getting rid of those amyloid plaques and those sorts of things. Whereas more than 9 hours, I don't know if that causes problems so much as it's a symptom. Like
Right.
if you're sick, you sleep a lot. If you're feeling down and a little bit depressed,
Depressed.
you might sleep in a little bit more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like if you've been traveling, you sleep, or you've done a hard workout, you might sleep. So if you're stressed or you've done a hard workout, we say add one extra sleep cycle to get you to 9 hours. But in general, if you're consistently over 9 hours, it'd be like that's probably a sign that we need to look at something else. Like check your health, go to your doc, chat, maybe go in, talk to someone about your mental health as well. I've done loads of therapy and like it's really, really helpful. It's like a strength training expert for your mind. You want to get those people on board to help your brain. So yeah, anything more than 9 hours is definitely something where you want to kind of check on that. Now, having said that, the younger that you are, the more sleep that you need. So, and if you're a
Right.
parent listening to this and like, oh my God, my teenager's sleeping 12 hours. Let's not, this is about adults who have jobs, not
He's
about your
okay.
teenagers. Let them sleep as much as they possibly can. They're growing. There's other stuff happening. This is for us adults, not for kids.
Right. He was probably up smoking doobies all night. He needs
We
his
don't, you
rest.
don't want to know. You don't want to
You
know.
don't
Just
want to
leave
know.
his room. Don't open the door. It'll be fine when they go to university. It's all good.
I love it. Okay, so we did the hour. We put the screens down. We went right to sleep. We got all the deep sleep. We slept for 7.5 hours at 6 a.m. or 5:30 in the morning. What do we do then? Like, what's the best way to start your day to optimize your energy and focus? Are we going straight for the coffee? Are we going straight for a workout? Are we going straight to our desk to start working? Like, what's the best way to do this?
You know what's really interesting? I got an email from a client recently, and she messaged me and said, "Greg, I'm waking up and I'm so stressed. Like the alarm goes off and I'm in panic mode because I'm instantly thinking about work. I'm so stressed. I work out in the morning, but I feel awful to start my day." And I messaged her back, and we were back and forth on a few things, and we kind of discovered that she's trained herself to wake up in that alert, activated, anxious mindset. And we needed to retrain that actually. So when we wake up, first thing that we want to be doing is just to take a few breaths, like really just allow yourself to breathe. My friend, Dr. James Rouse from Colorado, who's an incredible human, says you don't want to wake up and say, "Good God, it's morning." You want to wake up and say, "Good morning, God." Right? Like it's.
All right,
I'm not super religious, but I love that approach. Right?
Okay.
And so we're just trying to breathe and have a moment where you can be like, "Oh, I'm awake. My partner's here. My kids are safe. We're okay."
Life is
And
good.
we just sort of, life is good. I'm here. Let's take a breath. Then we get up, brush teeth, go to the washroom, all those sorts of things. Then I like the three W's: the wake, water, and walk. Drink about a liter of water. And if you can, get outside to go for a little walk to expose your eyes to some sunlight. I love that. Keep in mind, if through all of this time, we still haven't looked at our phone yet, right? Then we can come back. If you want to have some tea or coffee, a little bit of super healthy food to energize you for the day, that's spectacular. We want to set our affirmations and intentions. Affirmations are when we talk to ourselves about how great we are, which might sound weird, but the world is going to drive you down. You might as well talk positively to yourself. Talk to
Hell
yourself
yeah.
as like talk to yourself as you would talk to your 10-year-old who's on their way to school, right? You don't hesitate to say, "I love you, buddy. Good luck. Have a great day. You can do this," right? Why not say that to yourself? So good. And then your intentions, which is what you want to actually do in the world. I want to try to make a positive difference today. I want to try to crush this meeting today. I want to try to, have an impact in the world. I want to write 1,000 words of my book, whatever it happens to be. So affirmations and intentions. Affirmations are for you. Intentions are for the world. And then you can start to get into checking your email, checking your notifications and those sorts of things. We want to delay that as much as we possibly can. I would love for you to have an hour in the morning from the moment that you wake up before you look at your technology, just like we want to have an hour at the end of your day where you don't look at your technologies. Those bookends just let you breathe, just let you think, just let you get ready, energize yourself. Do those practices that recharge you so that when you arrive at work, if you work at home or you work in an office, when you arrive at work, you are ready to go. I'm so worried about people arriving at work and they've already been activated for 2 hours and they're exhausted to start their day. That's not world class. If you imagine an athlete trying to work out 8 hours a day, they don't do that. They train in the morning, they go home, they rest, they refuel, they have a massage, they have a little nap, they come back and they do a really great workout again in the afternoon. So that when they reach competition time, they're ready. That's you. Competition time is the sales presentation. It could be the team meeting. It could be you coming up with a product stack to solve a problem that your client has. We need those world-class performance moments, and they don't happen when you're exhausted and they don't happen when you're stressed. So we have to start our days gently with intention, doing the things that elevate us, that make us better. So when we arrive at those performance moments, we can be absolutely world-class with the greatest amount of energy possible.
I love the wake, water, walk, the three W's. That's a powerful way to start the day. And I've got two little kids, so I can't say I always get out for the walk right away. But when I do have the opportunity, when my toddler's still sleeping and my 10-month-old isn't crying and needs to be held, I will get out there and I'll go for a walk right away. And just a 5-minute walk, we live on a dead end, so I just walk to the other side of the dead end and back. And while I'm doing it, I do my affirmations. I say them out loud. I'm a huge believer in speaking positively to myself. I think it makes a big difference in my overall psyche throughout the day. And the days that I do that, I do just wind up having more productive days. The days that I start my day with a little bit of motion, some sunlight in my eyes, and some positive affirmations, I just wind up having a better day. Like I just do. There's certainly something to that.
Yeah, and you know what? It's amazing how fast the impact is. Like it's instantaneous. I know this sounds woo-woo, and I'm a physiologist. I'm a scientist. I published 75 research papers. Like I do MRI scans of people's brains to figure out what's going on. And this seems really, really, really like it's so hard to believe that this stuff works, but it actually really does, especially the wake, walk, water sequence, and then the affirmations and the intentions. It's shocking to me the impact that has when I get up out of my bed, walk over here to the window, look out at the park first thing in the morning, sun's coming up, and I just take a moment to say, I'm going to have a great day today. Like I'm going to try to be a good parent. I'm going to be a really good partner. Let's go do this. And then I walk out and it's completely different. So definitely craft those for yourself because it will make a difference.
You also mentioned caffeine in there too, and I think caffeine is just something I want to touch on because I think if you utilize it correctly, it can certainly be a tool. If you overutilize it, it can certainly be a crutch, and it can even pull you down. So, are you a believer in delaying caffeine, stopping caffeine at a certain hour? Like, how can we use caffeine to optimize our day?
Caffeine's a powerful performance enhancing drug. I have used it with Olympic level athletes. I have used it with special forces soldiers. I have used it with senior executives at finally, like I've used caffeine extensively in every aspect of my work. I've used caffeine extensively myself. It is a powerful performance enhancing drug. It does improve physical performance and it does improve cognitive performance as well. There's nuances there. It's more aerobic exercise than anaerobic exercise, but in general, it improves cognitive and physical performance as well. The peak benefits of caffeine occur somewhere around 30 to 60 minutes after you take it. And there is a withdrawal effect 3 to 4 hours later. So you got to be really careful with your timing. And more caffeine later doesn't fix the withdrawal effect. It's right. Going to happen. So timing is important. We want to use caffeine as a tool, not as a crutch. So have your morning caffeine if you need to, a little bit right before a performance moment like a speech or a sales meeting, that's fine. And remember that it takes 8 to 10 hours to clear your system. So if you want to be falling asleep at 10 p.m., the last bit of caffeine that we're having is noon. So as of lunch, we're done with caffeine. And my numbers are getting earlier and earlier and earlier on the day. I used to say 2 o'clock. Now I'm down to like noon and lunch. Like that's it. Herbal tea in the afternoon, lots of water. If you need berries for some energy, that's totally fine. But caffeine stops at 2 such that you can fall asleep and be ready for the next day. There is some confusion in the research about whether or not caffeine improves your health. And I think that the benefits of tea and coffee come from the polyphenols and flavonoids that are found in coffee beans and tea leaves. So it's those plant compounds that give us all of those health benefits that we're hearing about with reduced risk of Alzheimer's and reduced risk of type 2 diabetes and metabolics. Like there's all sorts of little things that are beneficial from caffeine theoretically, but I actually believe it's from the tea leaves and the coffee beans, with caffeine being the drug that has those performance benefits up to a certain point, which is probably 150 to 200 milligrams, which is like 1 or 2 strong cups of coffee, 1 or 2 espressos, 3 or 4 cups of tea, and green tea is only 15 milligrams. You can have quite a bit of green tea, but black tea and black coffee is pretty problematic. If we have more than sort of 2 cups, that's when the anxiety starts to come on. That's when the performance decrements begin. So a little bit is fine. Use it as a tool, not as a crutch. 30 to 60 minutes before you want to be taking it. Stop it at noon. Oh yeah, and if you add cream and sugar to your coffee, all of those health benefits are wiped out. So there was a research study that shows that black coffee, black tea works, but if you're adding cream and sugar to it, any benefits from any health benefits whatsoever are wiped out. So if you can do the espressos and the Americanos, that might work. But sorry?
I saw that as well, that if you add cream, that it actually does kind of negate the benefits. Does it negate the cognitive benefits as well?
It said the paper got into health benefits, so it was more aligned with
Okay,
diseases and stuff like that. I don't know
got it.
about the cognition, so we might get Dave Asprey coming at us for
Right.
for the coconut, the bullet coffees or whatever. But yeah,
So basically, enjoy your caffeine under 150 milligrams. So like, 1 to 2 cups of coffee tops. Make sure to cut it off by 2 p.m. latest, 12 p.m. ideally. And then just kind of expect 3 to 4 hours after that dose, you're gonna feel a bit of a withdrawal. It's just kind of, it's part of the process. Just it's going to come and go. It's going to be a wave of maybe a slightly unpleasant feeling, but don't let that force you into another cup of coffee at 3 p.m.
or even noon, right? So let's say you have your
Right.
9 a.m. 3 hours
Yeah.
later, it's like 12 to 1. That's that afternoon crash thing. We can
Mm-hmm.
use the second wind workout to avoid that. And when you feel that crash, there's two things that will bring your energy levels back up. The first one is a lot of water. So we now know that water is required for your Krebs cycle to work, which is the grade 10 bio thing that we all learned about. It's inside the mitochondria. It breaks down the foods that you eat to create ATP, which is the energy currency of the body. Now, in the Krebs cycle, that breaking down of the food to create energy process, there are 4 steps that require water. And so if you need more energy, get hydrated. So during the course of the day, 1.5 to 3 liters would be the goal. I'm trying to nudge myself up towards 3 liters. I typically trend around 1 to 2, but I'm trying to crank it up. And I really work on that. If I notice that I've got brain fog, if I notice that I'm starting to get tired, I will go straight for water, and it is making a huge difference. The second thing that seems to work really, really well is berries. Berries have a little bit of sugar in them, but a lot of fiber, so it's slow digesting, and they're packed full of polyphenols and flavonoids and antioxidant compounds that go straight into your brain to protect your brain from damage and to clear out some of the inflammation in your brain that comes from thinking, because you're burning energy in neurons, and you're oxidizing food to create that energy. So we really need to keep our brain in check. So when you run out of energy during the day, you don't necessarily need to go for another cup of coffee. Grab the water, take half a pint of blueberries, blackberries, strawberries, raspberries with you. Just run it under some water, snack on those through the afternoon. That'll keep your energy levels up. And honestly, when I do that, I feel so good when I get home versus getting home with that afternoon crash really kicking in, plus that caffeine withdrawal. I'm a very different dad at the end of the day when I do it one way versus the other.
So opt for the water, the berries, and maybe a short walk at noon, as opposed to a second cup of coffee, and you'll be much more present, energetic for your family when you get home.
Like, just imagine a year of that. Like, imagine a year of caffeine all afternoon versus a year of getting a walk at lunch, drinking water all afternoon, and having berries. Like, oh my gosh, you'll be a completely different human being. You'll
That's a
be
good
so
point.
much better over an extended period of time operating like that. That's a really cool idea.
Hell yeah, that is. I agree. That would be something that would compound powerfully over the course of months and a year. And so I want to talk a little bit about exercise. Of course, exercise is important, right? We got to do it. We got to get our cardio and our strength training, and no one's debating that. But what's the best timing of our exercise? If we're trying to really optimize for our most efficient, energetic, and focused workday, should we do it in the morning, or should those morning hours really be using our sharpest mental acuity for work? And should we delay the workout till later in the day?
It's a really interesting question when we consider like what's the best time of day to exercise, because there's different people love exercising at different times, and some
Mm-hmm.
people are out there super early, other people do it late at night, and some people get out there at lunch, and it's confusing. I think that actually the real answer is whatever works for you. Everyone's life is different. We all have different schedules and different responsibilities. Consistency matters more than anything. So if you work out in the morning and that works for you, phenomenal. If your workout happens to be at 9 o'clock at night because that's when you've got the most energy and you like going to your gym at that time, fantastic. Keep going. Don't let me change your mind on any of it.
Right.
But if you don't know, then right now, what we seem to think is that in the morning, your morning workout is great for increasing BDNF, brain derived neurotrophic factor, which stimulates the growth of new neurons inside your brain. So if you're interested in better cognition, better mental performance, then the morning workout is a great option for you. The lunchtime workout is our second wind workout. That tends to give you your afternoon back, and it doesn't need to be a workout. It can be a walk, it can be a little bit of yoga, it can be up and down the stairs a few times, it can just simply be standing and stretching. We're just trying to increase the body temperature by moving our body through a range of motion for 10, 15, 20 minutes, maybe half an hour. The evening workout is amazing, or afternoon or evening workout is amazing, because that's when our cortisol and testosterone are a little bit higher. So we naturally are able to exercise at a higher intensity in the afternoons. And contracting your muscles breaks down cortisol and adrenaline, those stress hormones that we accumulate throughout the course of our stressful work days. And, stress is good. It enables you to perform, but we don't want to be chronically stressed. And the way that we give our bodies a break from those stress hormones is exercise, because that breaks down those molecules, which clears them out of your systems, that you can actually rest in the evenings and fall asleep and not have that cortisol impacting your cardiovascular system. Because we know that elevated levels of cortisol for long periods of time tend to cause some damage in your vascular system, the capillary beds that deliver oxygen and glucose and all the other molecules through with your red blood cells to your tissues. So the answer to your question: work out whatever time is best for you. Morning's probably best for your brain. Lunch is best to give you your afternoon back. Evening's best for stress management. And that's probably how to think of it in terms of timing of your workouts.
Nice. So really just make sure you get it in, but if you're looking for cognitive performance, morning is probably the time frame to aim for there.
Yeah, like just get it in. If you do it in the morning or the afternoon or the evening, whatever. It's the Audi versus the BMW versus it's the Lexus. Like, they're all amazing. You're just sort of picking and choosing what works best for you.
And as far as if we're talking about just like mental cognitive performance, should we be focusing more on strength training, cardio? Should it be a mix of the two? Like, what type of workout is going to help us perform the best?
Yeah, it's so interesting that we're learning about how different types of exercise impact the brain. If we are doing focused work, so beta brainwave mode work, the really activated work, you're trying to get a lot done, you're operating, you're firing off emails, you're in meeting, you're leading meetings, you're doing the sales calls like I'm right now, in full-on beta brainwave mode, highly activated performance mode. For that, it helps to do exercise before you do those types of activities. It's sort of like, just like you would do a physical workout, like a warm-up before your actual workout. Like, you would never go race without warming up first. When you go to do a spin class, they always warm you up first. Even yoga, they do warm-ups through sun salutations, right? Like, you always warm up before the main part of your workout. I think the brain benefits from a physical workout warm up as well. So just like you would warm up for your workout, I think you need to warm up for your work. And that will make a huge difference for you. And the warm up doesn't mean that you have to go sweat. It can simply be like, okay, I got a block of work to do. I'm going to go for a quick walk. And you go outside, you do a little bit of quick movement. You go up and down a couple stairs to feel your breath a little bit. You sit down at your desk. And that alternating cycle of physical activity followed by stillness sparks the brain and enables you to focus better. So that's what we do if we have a block of intense work to do. Warm up physically, that enhances your ability to do that cognitive work. Now, if we're down into strategic thinking, reflection, planning, deconstruction, you actually need to be in an alpha brainwave state, which is about 50% less activated than when you're in performance mode. So you actually need to be pretty calm. And the body benefits from the brain benefits from physical stillness. So imagine reading a book. You're deeply immersed in the book. How much is that person moving? They're actually frozen. So stillness is critical when we're doing planning, strategy, deconstruction. So stillness benefits us when we're doing that type of work. If you want to be creative and you want to do problem solving, you want to do innovation or even iteration, then you need to be in a theta brainwave state, which is when your mind is wandering, such that different regions of the brain can become active at the same time, joined together through the white matter, deep tracts of the brain. And in that case, we need rhythmic, repetitive activity. So you're out for a long walk, no tech, and that rhythm drops your brain down out of activated mode to sort of consciously controlling your mind, just letting your mind wander. And once your brain is in that mind wandering state, that's when, boom, the eureka moments will pop in. That's when you'll solve the problem. That's when you'll figure out what you need to do to get that client. So it's not so much strength training or, cardio or whatever. It's just sort of like alternating bursts of activity with getting your focus work done, deep mental and physical stillness to do that planning or strategy, and then rhythmic repetitive activities to get into that creativity, innovation, and problem solving. So that's like cycling, long walks, paddling, all those sorts of activities. Having said all of that, there was some really cool research that was published this year that shows that when you produce lactic acid, which is what the sensation you get when you're doing exercise that's intense enough to make your muscles burn or for you to hyperventilate, that lactic acid makes its way to your brain and stimulates BDNF, brain derived neurotrophic factor. So there is some evidence that shows that sprinting improves brain function, but honestly, just do anything. It's going to be good for you. Again, it's like, so the Ferrari or the Maserati or the Lambo, it's all good. Like
Right.
everything's going to help you.
We'll take any of them. They all sound
Yeah.
pretty good. And that's pretty interesting, though. I enjoy hearing about the science behind the benefits of just kind of going for long walks by yourself, and how your brain will kind of piece things together, because of the repetitiveness of the repetitive nature of just the step. And there's no real goal. You're just kind of out there walking. And so I guess you'd be a believer in kind of penciling those into your calendar on a weekly basis.
Yes, absolutely. I think that we need some downtime. I
Yeah.
think we need some creative time. I think we need some reflection time. And so the long walk on Sunday morning is incredible. Whether it's a long walk or a long bike ride, both of those are absolutely fine. I also believe in taking some time during the week for focused work and ideally aligning that with when you have the most energy. If you're doing your strategy and deconstruction, I love doing that sort of in the afternoon, end of the day. You're already in that sort of mode where you need to sort of wind down a little bit. It's a great bridge to the rest of your evening. If you do need to do some really deep planning, it might help you to get away from the office for a few days to immerse yourself in nature. There was a study done a few years ago that shows that when you are in a natural environment over the course of 3 days, and it does take 3 days, your problem solving abilities increase up to 300%. But we need those extended periods of time on retreat, if you will, in a natural environment, no technology, to really get into that deconstructive phase where you can begin to see things a little bit differently.
That's interesting. And I think I read something at one point that, Bill Gates, when he was running Microsoft, used to take a full week every year just by himself to go somewhere remote and just kind of do thinking and reading and planning. And he found it to be one of the most important things that he did all year.
I love that. I haven't heard that, but I'm not surprised because a lot of leaders do that. You need that time just to get away and think. When you're busy, you can't think. You need to get out of your normal environment so that you can give yourself a chance to see things differently. And it takes a little while for you to decompress. You're just like going, right? Like the first couple of days of your vacation, if you take one, you're simply too tired. And then in the middle, you're like, okay, I'm kind of coming back to life. And then sort of near the end of that week, if you're lucky enough to go for 2 weeks, then all of a sudden creativity starts coming back, right? You start having new ideas. You see solutions to problems that you cannot see when you're in the weeds of the daily work. So we really do need to protect some time, especially now when artificial intelligence is automating so much and can automate so much of the repetitive work. We need to be able to think at a higher level. Like as humans, we are for now the domain of creativity, innovation, problem solving, planning, and strategy really is for us. AI can do some of that, but not at the level that we need it to. Or perhaps it can do a draft and you take it through the final version. So yeah, giving ourselves permission to get away, to decompress, to defend our attention, I think can really be helpful.
Yeah, I actually have a good friend, Jay Abbasi. He's a keynote speaker and author, and just an incredible guy, fascinating spirit and mind, and just really just a thought leader within the space of mindfulness. And he takes a solo trip about once a quarter, 3 to 4 days by himself, just go somewhere remote, Aruba or something like that. And almost every single time he does that, he comes back with a breakthrough, and he just finds so much clarity on what he should be doing over the next 3 to 4 months. And maybe we can't all find 3 to 4 days a quarter, but we can find little pieces of opportunity where we can get away, whether it's just a walk in the woods, maybe taking a regular hike every Sunday morning. We have to find that space so that we can think, and so that we can come up with the ideas that we need.
I love that idea of taking the millionaire weekend, right? Like you go away, you go
Yeah.
completely away, you get a good hotel room. Maybe it's Aruba even, you get the best plane ticket that you possibly can. You get the great food, you bring the journal, and you just lean into the deep thinking and give yourself permission to completely disconnect. You tell your loved ones, hey, I got to go for 3 days. I am off. If you need me, if there's an emergency, call the front desk. And a couple things happen. First of all, you realize that people want you to be successful, so they will support you to do that. And your team will probably operate at a higher level if you have people that report to you, because they have some freedom now to make decisions on their own. It's actually critical for up leveling them. You supervising them constantly doesn't give them the opportunity to grow and to make decisions and to accept consequences, right? Like when we go away and do this as a leader, it actually forces your team to step up. So I think it's actually really good for you, even though you might not feel that comfortable doing it.
Right, for sure. And so we spoke about a performance enhancing drug earlier, caffeine, which 9 out of 10 people in America use. I think is the statistic. Might even be more than that. I want to talk about another one, and it is a substance that's been getting a lot of positive rhetoric and press behind it. But then I believe there is also some negative health results that are associated with this. What I'm talking about is nicotine, and I'm curious what your thoughts are on nicotine as a cognitive enhancer and maybe the risks that come along with it, and if it's just something that you yourself use or if you think it's worthwhile.
I will admittedly tell you, I don't know very much about this. I think that the health risks are so pronounced that I kind of avoid it completely. I think while it can give you a short-term benefit cognitively, I think the long-term impacts of it by far outweigh any short-term gains that you can get. I would far rather you go for a little walk than to
Right.
use a nicotine patch. I'm pretty opposed to that one. That would be a hard no for me, and certainly for the CEOs that I coach, that would never be something that I would recommend that they do. That's just not part of a high performance path. Um, that's not. Yeah, I'm pretty opposed to that one.
Yeah. Now, listen, I hear you. And doesn't it shrink and harden your arteries? Isn't that like factual?
To be honest with you, I'm not 100% sure. I haven't read that research. I don't know. I would be hard pressed to find any studies that show that nicotine actually improves your health. I think that there are probably a couple. I have seen a couple studies that seem to show that there's some cognitive performance benefits in the short term, but I'm quite positive that there would be very few, if any, research studies that would show any gains for your health. If someone has one and I'm unaware of it, flip it to me. I'd love to check it out. But as of right now, I think from a health perspective, it's pretty I would be shocked if anyone showed me an actual really good study that shows that there's any health benefits whatsoever.
For sure, for sure. And as we're kind of getting towards the end here, I want to talk about. We talked about how to sleep, how to get ready for work, when and how to work out. As far as the actual like work itself, is there an optimal way to work? Is it in 25-minute sprints, pomodoros, 50-minute sprints, 90 minutes? Should we be taking walks every hour? Like, is there an optimal way to stay focused and optimize our energy throughout the workday?
Oh my gosh, there's so much thinking now about what's the optimal way to work and
Right.
what are the work rest ratios and all that sort of stuff. I would love people to think about your ultradian rhythms. So we know about our circadian rhythms. You operate on a 24-hour cycle. You sleep at night. You're awake during the day. You are hungry a few times a day. You go to the washroom at this roughly the same time of day. We're very familiar with our circadian rhythms. There are smaller rhythms, and they're called ultradian rhythms. They may last anywhere from 15 minutes up to 90 minutes. Some people even might be able to go to 2 hours. And your ultradian rhythms are your performance windows. At the end of that ultradian rhythm, you will notice a significant decline in your energy levels. So I would love for you to be aware of how you feel during the day. Recognize that there will be a period of time when you can work at world class. I would like you to be aware that at anywhere from sort of 45 minutes to an hour, maybe 90 minutes, there will be a performance decrement. You will start to struggle to think. Things will just take longer. You're going to be, struggling to get those thoughts out. And when you notice that decline in performance, that's when you need to take a break. And we can think about sort of like the wake, walk, water thing. Like you wake yourself back up by going for a little walk, drinking some water, getting some food, maybe doing a little 3-minute meditation, possibly some breath work, right? Like anything you can do to sort of give yourself a rest and recharge, not social media, and like not doom scrolling on your phone, not doing email, right? We're actually giving the brain a chance to rest. Then at the end of that period of time, once you feel like you're rested, 5, 10, 15 minutes, maybe 30 minutes long, you get back to work and then you'll buy yourself another one of those ultradian rhythms. So imagine it's sort of like a 90-minute work block, 30 minutes to recharge. That's 2 hours. I think you can do 4 or 5 of those a day. And that's pretty incredible. Most people operate at 65% all the time. I'm encouraging high performers to operate at 110% or like 90 to 110% for those short windows when your ultradian rhythms give you that opportunity. And then you do deep recharging with water, walking, meditation, decompression, whatever works for you, so that you can get another window of high performance. Then you go back into deep rest. One more window of high performance, long lunch with your second wind workout. Afternoon, maybe get one more in the afternoon to crank it out. Then you're deconstructing and planning the next day. So think of it in terms of your ultradian rhythms. They may be 20 minutes, they may be 90 minutes. Everyone's different. You will develop the capacity to go longer and longer as you can train these out, but we don't recommend or work with people to go longer than 90 minutes. The 90-30 is a great block that seems to be great. 45-15 also works, even 20 and 10. But alternating cycles of peak performance and deep rest is what enables performance to be sustainably high over an extended period of time, such that your health and your performance are maintained. It's the fatigue, burnout, exhaustion that we want to try to avoid. I don't want you getting to 5 o'clock at night being like, oh my God, I just got to get out of here. Like, that is not what we're looking for, right? We're looking for you to be clear, sharp, focused all the time, and then get home and spend some great time with your family too. So you're not grumpy at the dinner table, right? And I'm admittedly have done that many, many times, which is how I've learned that this is really, really important. So yeah, think about that. And your ultradian rhythms are just as important as your circadian rhythms. And your ultradian rhythms and your awareness of your ultradian rhythms is what will give you that opportunity to achieve sustainable, elite, high performance over an extended period of time.
I love that. And I think, right, the 90-minute work sprint is something that most people probably have to work their way up towards, but you can start with a 25-minute work sprint or a 45-minute work sprint and then just give yourself a break at the end of that. And I think knowing that rest, that break is coming, that walk, that meditation, that hydration allows you to focus even more aggressively and work even better during the work sprint, because you know there's a break coming. There is light at the end of the tunnel. I'm not going to be working this ferociously all day. In 40 minutes, I get to take a break. I get to go for a walk, and I get to hear the birds sing a little bit out there. So I think that's an effective way to approach your day and get the most out of yourself. And then at the end of the day, not be totally burnt out and still have energy for your family, be able to play with your kids and go watch a ball game or whatever it is. And curious though, within those 90-minute sprints, those 45-minute sprints, and there may not be an answer to this, but I'm curious, is there a scientifically more effective way to work? Is it a to-do list, or is it time blocking everything out on your calendar?
I'm so glad you brought up the to-do list, because actually one of the most important things that you can do that will elevate your performance is the not to-do list. Actually, it's far more important the higher that you go in your career and the bigger of an impact you're trying to have in the world, to be able to say no to things, to be able to block things out. And the do not do list is far more important in determining your ability to perform at world class than your to-do list. Your to-do list will always be there. It will always fill up. If you get to email inbox 0, I promise you tomorrow morning, it'll be full again. There will be many things you can always add to your to-do list. The problem is that people throw everything on their to-do list, and we need to make sure that we have a not to-do list. Things that you will not do because they don't serve you, things that you will not do because they're not elevating you, things that you will not do because they're not mission critical to delivering for the people that you serve. And when you're in your early career in your 20s, yes, of course, you say yes to everything because you're just getting reps, you're just getting experience. But the higher that you go in your job, the more leadership roles that you take on, the more opportunities you have to do work that is truly impactful. That is when we need to be blocking things out. That's when we need to turn off the email, turn off the notifications, block things out, say no to projects, deliver at world class, keep that relentless clarity of vision and focus on that. Don't do the other things. Don't get distracted in an era of constant, unrelenting distraction when people touch their phones 400 times a day. We need to be getting those things away from us so that we can do the deep work that's required to truly move the needle to become successful in our lives. Everyone's operating at superficial. Everyone's operating at busy. I need people to do the deep work. I need people to block out those distractions so that you can do world-class work. I'm trying to get back into writing a book at the moment. I haven't written a book in a couple of years, and I am devastated at my complete inability to focus for extended periods of time. And I teach this stuff. So when I sat down to start writing my book, again, I was writing the intro and I wrote like a couple paragraphs. I'm like, I wonder what's the Jays score is. Like,
Right.
what? Right? Like I started checking
Right.
baseball scores. And I was like, I just stop. And I'm like writing. And then I was like, I wonder when my kids start school this year. Like I had a complete inability to focus. I'm retraining my brain to drop into deep work. I've got an album that I'm playing. So I know that it's about an hour to an hour and 75 minutes long. I'm listening to the same music every single morning. I'm turning off all of the devices. I'm blocking out that time. I'm closing the door, putting on the headphones. Like I'm doing everything I can to retrain my brain to focus because I haven't done the deep work in a while. I've been doing speeches and presentations. When I'm on stage, it's easy to focus. But when you're doing the discretionary deep work, when there's many opportunities to be distracted, it's really, really hard. And so these days you need to be doing everything that you can to focus deeply. Back to your point, the to-do list is fine. It will always be there. The do not do list is the magic, the most important thing that enables you to do world-class work right now.
Greg Wells, man, this was a lot of fun. Thanks for taking the time today,
Wasn't it?
brother.
That was so fun, Brad. I really appreciate it. This was like such a blast. And I love that we
Yeah.
riffed on a whole bunch of different things. It was really, really fun.
It went by quick, man. I can't believe it. That was a
Yeah.
quick hour of my life right there. Great. Where can everyone keep up with what you got going on these days?
Everything is at my website, drgregwells.com. Socials are there. Check them occasionally, not all the time. Books are there. There's 5 of them, which would terrify my grade 8 English teacher. The podcast is there. 250 episodes are up. So would just love to connect with everyone. And if you have any questions, message me to say you heard me on this podcast, and I'll be sure to get back to you.
Hell yeah. Thank you, Greg. And thank you, Persistence Playbook Nation. This is your weekly reminder that you will feel resistance to the important work in your life this week. In those moments, lean into your why, take action anyway, and we'll catch you on the next one.